Hi and welcome to BIDcast, the second BIDcast in the series where we take a deeper dive into the projects and things that the Swansea BID do, so you, the businesses, can have a better understanding of what I'm talking about on a Monday morning when I'm rattling off everything very, very quickly. So a couple of weeks ago I mentioned that we were going to be doing a course with Maggie's on cancer care for employees. So I've got Lucia from Maggie's here with me today, who's going to talk us all about it and tell us all a bit more information about it. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. Welcome to BIDcast, second guest on BIDcast. I'm quite chuffed with these. They're working out quite well. So, Maggie's been around in Swansea for years and years and years. But for anybody who doesn't know, what is Maggie's?
Okay, so yeah, we've been in Swansea, this is 13 years this year. And essentially what Maggie's is, we're a cancer support centre. We're separate from the NHS, although our centre in Swansea is next to the hospital for people to access us easily. So essentially what we do, we support anybody living with cancer. So whether it's the patient or the person caring for them. And our centre has a core team of experts that support people socially, psychologically and practically with anything to do with their cancer, essentially. So although we've got our centre here in Swansea, and as I said, we've been here for a number of years, we've got centres all over the country as well. So it is a national charity, but we've got very much a local identity. So once the centre is open, we kind of, we're responsible for funding it ourselves in the local area, and it's for the local people to access our services.
See, I didn't realise this until we started talking. I thought Maggie's was a Swansea thing because I've heard for it. I've been to the dinners in the Brownway Hall and all of that over the years. So I thought it was very much a Swansea thing, but it's Glasgow? Was it started?
No, Edinburgh. So it's almost there, but we do have one in Glasgow as well. Yeah. So going back to the origins, if you like, of Maggie. So Maggie was our founder, and it was her own personal experience of cancer that made her think that we needed to have something outside of the hospital environment to support her and her family. So sadly, she had advanced cancer, and her consultant said at the time, about 1994, 95, that they couldn't do anything more for her and told her to wait outside in the waiting room. And for her, she described it as a thump to the stomach, finding out that news, and how was she going to tell her husband and children this was it. She was only in her 40s. So the idea came about where we need to have somewhere outside the hospital so that people like her, families, could access emotional support and practical support alongside the medical cancer support. So the first centre opened in Edinburgh, which is where she was being treated. Sadly, she passed away before it opened, but very quickly other hospitals, major hospitals that treated cancer in Scotland, wanted a version of this cancer care, which was called Maggie's, in memory of her legacy. And then over the years, more centres were opened across England, and the first one that came to Wales was the Swansea Centre. So our centre opened in 2011.
Right, okay. Which is why I think you've been around for ages, 2011. Right. Okay, so what is the service that you provide? What can you do for somebody or a family or something with cancer?
Okay. So a lot of people say to us, is it just for patients? And it's not. I mean, half the people that come through the door are carers. So it could be they're caring for their mum and their dad, child, partner. They could all be using the service. So it is very much about a family focus. So it's for anybody at any point in their cancer journey. They could have just been diagnosed. They could have a recurrence. They could be bereaved. And it's about having that sort of mental health care for those living with cancer. So the depth and breadth of what we offer there is very big. So we have a timetable of support over various cancer support groups, depending on what cancer it might be. Carers groups, bereavement groups, but some people prefer one-on-one support. So our staff are on hand to do one-on-one support if they'd rather that over a group setting. And just to discuss how the groups work. So every centre will have the same core team. So we have a clinical psychologist. Not everybody needs to see clinical psychologist, but we've got that high-level mental health care. We've got cancer support specialists. In Swansea, we've got 3. So they would have been nurses in a previous profession, in oncology or radiotherapists. So they've got a lot of knowledge around cancer care. before coming to Maggie's and obviously becoming counsellors in their area of expertise. Benefit advice is a big area that we cover as well. For a lot of people working, if they've got cancer and they can't work and they haven't got treatment, the cost of cancer is huge. And we're hearing people coming into the centre saying to us, I've got to go back to work, I can't finish my treatment. So our benefits advisors are there to support people to get the gains that they're entitled to enable them to have their treatment and support them through their cancer treatment.
Good.
And we've got 2 benefits advisors just in our centre here in Swansea.
Good, okay. Now, because the thing, you're based outside the Singleton Hospital, which for everybody who's involved in the bid knows is well outside of the bid area. So we got working with you because of Simon up at the Gamers Emporium, who raises money for you like it's for fun. I think he raises money for you guys, isn't he?
He's been an incredible supporter. 10 years Simon and Gamers Emporium have been involved with Maggie's. And the reason being, we supported a very close friend of his who sadly passed away 10 years ago, and then since then the gamers, the customers, and Simon, they've supported us. So they do it in a really clever little way with what called charity trading packs in the shop. And so every month we get a donation. But over the years, I think they've raised over nearly 30k from these packs. So it's for customer fundraising, the gamers. But we're incredibly grateful, you know, and Simon understands the kind of work that we do. Has been up to the centre, staff have been up to see the Maggie Centre, so they can see how, you know, what that difference is making to what we can continue to do for people who come into Maggie's, because we don't get any funding from the government, we don't get any funding from the NHS, so it is relying purely on what our supporters can do so that we can keep the doors open. Okay,
cool. So if any of the businesses now are watching this, fundraising is a big thing for you. How do they get involved in raising funds for you guys?
There's lots of things they could do. I mean, they can chat to me and my fundraising team to find out, you know, it could be something in their own business, like what Simon's done, that they could do something quite quick and easy, which doesn't create a lot of effort. You know, in the shop or within staff fundraising, there's lots of ideas and things that people have done before, like pound on a bill, or we had one cafe do like a Maggie's pizza for a month. You know, there's lots of things and creative ideas that people come and suggest to us as well. But there's also things that we run, events that we put on that people can get involved with. They might want to sponsor, or they might want to buy a table, or they might want to do a challenge event. There's tons of things that we're doing, and every year we try to do something a little bit different. But yeah, the example you gave of Simon at Games Emporium is a really nice way that kind of fits with the business and is easy to do, but makes a big impact on what we can continue to do at Maggie's.
Good, okay. Now, we're here today to talk about the course that you guys are providing for us. So, before I get it wrong again, because I know I've got the title wrong already, I was reading an intro to this. What's the course called?
It's Cancer in the Workplace.
Right.
Yeah, so the course, we've been probably facilitating those sessions for 7-8 years, because what we saw, there was a bit of a gap in the need to support employers, because 1 in 2 people will get cancer in their lifetime, which is, you know, very sobering statistic, but that's where we are. So a lot of people will work while going through cancer or caring for someone at home that is. So what we realised, speaking to people coming through the door, was that if we could equip their managers, their employers, with ways to support them better in the workplace, that's going to be good for them, but also good for the employers as well. So the sessions that we've been running, so we run them monthly, but we can do more depending on what the requirement is. So essentially, it's aimed at HR managers or wellbeing managers, or people in that area of work, but also line managers, team leaders, anybody that's in a position where they might be supporting a member of staff or a colleague that is going through cancer.
Okay.
And the session is about 2.5 hours long. It depends on, you know, we share case studies or certain things that have happened in work, or, you know, there's been scenarios where they might need a little bit of help with. And what we cover is, you know, understanding cancer, side effects, hidden side effects, which is something that gets discussed quite a bit. The benefit side as well is key, because, you know, people don't always realise what they're entitled to have if they're off work. So we talk about that as well. And it's a free workshop as part of our free programme of support. And as I said, we've offered this session for lots of different sectors. Doesn't matter what the size of the organisation, or how many staff they've got, but and the feedback has been good. And what has been nice, we did a session for Gower College recently, and they were talking about a couple of examples in their workplace. Again, they're quite a big employer, and then the next day they sent a member of staff in to come to Maggie's to get various parts of support, just because they've been on that session. So hopefully it will be very informative, and people can see what they could be entitled to, and maybe not realise the fullness of what we can offer at Maggie's.
Good. So I know normally you run those sessions at Maggie's itself, but our sessions we're running here in this room that we're tucked into the corner of right now, so that all the city centre businesses can access that. Yes. So when is it? Remind me of the date.
So it's Monday, the 2nd of September. So yes, so not long.
Not long. So if you wanted to book onto the course, all you have to do is head to the Swansea BID website, go into the trainings and workshops section. You can click on there and you can book a spot on that. How many places do you reckon we can get 18 in here? Is that going to be enough?
Yeah. I think that would be plenty. And what we, although we're presenting, it'd be great to have the opportunity to have discussions and seeing, what different people are experiencing potentially. So yeah, I think 18 would be a good number.
Brilliant stuff. So there we are. So that's Cancer in the Workplace. That's coming up in September. As I said, head to the website and book onto that. Thank you, Lucia, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And that's no problem at all. And we shall see you again soon on the next BIDcast.